Okay, welcome everyone. We we have a more than a minion.
Oh,
Wonderful, wonderful. Letting more people in. I'm letting more people in. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Ah, do do do. Oh, more people. Shalom. Oh my goodness. Okay. Wow. All right. Welcome. All right. Well, tonight's Parsha is Lecha. It's Genesis 12:1 through I think 17:27. Okay. Yeah. And if you'd like to um, put in your intention, who you want to devote this Torah study to, or something in the chat. If it's an intention or a person or something or a cause, go ahead, put it in the chat. Dedicate your Torah study. This is an interesting parsha. There's a few kind of cool things that come up. I have a little bit of trouble with it, and I looked at some of the parshas that we've done in the past in the past to find it, and I haven't. We seem to have skipped over it for some reason in the past. So so oh, that's nice. Rachel bought Miriam, dedicated to your ancestors. I love this. Oh, let me put this up. Justice and prosperity. I love that. Mark Gilmore. Thank you. And Marva Easley Shalom to that's peace. Dedicated to dedicated to the hostages having been safely returned. Yes, of course, that's wonderful. And I hope peace continues there. I hope there's more peace. Yeah. Yep. Yep. We need peace. Peace is the way. Yeah. So, all right. Well, that's ironic, I mean, this is what we're talking about. 12:1, Hashem says to Avram, he's not yet Abraham. All right. That's the conclusion of this. He's Avram. Says to Avram, go for yourself from your land and your relatives and from your father's house to the land that I will show you. And I will make of you a great nation, and I will bless you, and I will make your. And this is, I come back to this over and over and over again. Here it is again. And I will make your name great. Remember, we talked last week about the fact that all the animals were presented to Adam to name, to give them their ineffable names. This is what they're talking about, to make your name, your ineffable name, great. And you shall be a blessing. And this is my favorite. I use this all the time. It's really my favorite. I will bless those who bless you, and him who curses you, I will curse. And all the families of the earth shall bless themselves by you. So I, 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 I dig that. I don't know. Do you have anything to say about that particular aspect of the beginning of the parsha, Rabbi?
well, I have something interesting to add to the Parsha later on, tying in Parsha Lecha, where, I mean, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it's very interesting because the Almighty God tells Abram Lech Lecha. Okay, fine.
Yeah,
But
go
he
for your.
doesn't, he doesn't, the land which I will show you. He doesn't tell him what that land is or what direction he's going. He doesn't tell him anything other than Lech Lecha. to go forth from from the land, from your father's house. And he says, to the place I will show you.
Right, and it doesn't tell him like whether or not it's going to be like a good neighborhood, or is it going to be down by the train tracks, or if it's going to have like it's got to be, it's kind of a trusting kind of thing. You know what I mean?
It is, and actually, the words Lech Lecha in Hebrew, if Lech Lecha can mean go forth, and that's the way it's traditionally interpreted, to go forth. But there is another interpretation that's possible, Lecha. And I always look at this, and it occurs many, many places in both the Torah and in both the written Torah and the oral tradition, the Torah Sheba'al Peh, where you have the word Lecha, where it says, Asa Lecha Rav. Most people would say that means acquire for yourself a rabbi. No, actually, if you read the words, Asa Lecha, make yourself a rabbi. Asa Lecha. It's, in other words, to be your own spiritual authority, to make yourself. And the same thing here, Lech Lecha, to go forth, can also mean to go to yourself, go within.
Yeah, this is why in the Stone edition, that's how it's translated. Go
Right.
for yourself.
Exactly.
From your land. Go for yourself from your land.
Exactly.
Go for yourself from your land, and from your relatives and from your father's house. So get out of here and to the land that I will show you.
And it's kind of interesting. I related this. I was thinking about this just last night as I was going to sleep, and my wife punches me in the arm. Honey, you're mumbling again to yourself. And I says, well, I do that all the time. It comes with geriatric dementia. But anyway, when I was mumbling, I was thinking about something. Why was it so important if Hashem wanted to tell Abram, hey, look, I'm God. This is your purpose in life. This is your destiny. Why was it so important to leave everything he was familiar with? Why was it important to make that transition? And also, metaphorically speaking, I said there was a famine in the land. It was a famine that they were suffering. They had nothing to eat. They had no nourishment. It was a famine. So they had to leave. And I was thinking to myself, it's really interesting, because in Pirkei Avot, it says, Ezehu Chacham, who is the wise person? Lomed Mikal Adam, the person who learns from everyone. Okay? You learn from everyone.
Right.
The thing is, he had to get out of his comfort zone. He had to go to a place where he'd see new faces, be exposed to new ideas, immersed in a new culture. Remember, when he went to Paro, he lied. He said Sarai, because it wasn't Sarah yet. Sarah meaning princess. But the thing is, he lied, and he said, no, that's my sister, because he didn't want to be executed by Paro.
I didn't like that. I don't think he's a very nice guy for that.
Well, Nachmanides, the Ramban, in yeshiva, when I'd bring that up, are you crazy? David, are you nuts? Are you Meshuggah Gonson? Come on. Avram didn't commit a sin. We're talking about Avram Avinu. And I says, okay, fine. Trash me all you want, but that's what the Ramban, Nachmanides, said.
I know, but I don't agree. I don't agree. I mean, I wouldn't want my wife treated like that.
So here's the point that I'm making.
Yeah.
The point that I'm making, I'm going to relate this to my activity, which I told Dr. Jeremy, I want to get this up and running to do tarot readings for people. But one of my favorite tarot cards is this guy here, the Hanged Man. And that's a very unusual. My dad actually started teaching me tarot simultaneously with teaching me chess. I used to play in tournament chess. And at 5 years old, I was literally at 5 years old, he was showing me like flashcards, to name the card. And I'm going to tell you something. So people, that's a very unusual. I mean, most people, you ask anyone in tarot what their favorite card is, people might point to the magician because he's the symbol of empowerment and manifestation, or the fool card because it's all about beginnings, or the wheel of fortune card, because there's so much symbolism in it. Very few people, I mean, would point to the hangman. But why is it my favorite card? And I'll tell you. It's my favorite card because if you look at the hanged man, what it's about is release. It's about letting go. It's about not feeling compelled to control. The hanged man is not in control of events. Okay. He's kind of like, he can't make any forward progress in his current circumstances.
Are you analogizing
with Avram? Exactly. That's where I'm going with this.
With Avram.
Right, with Avram to becoming Abraham. He had to let go of everything that was familiar to him so he could do what? What is the hangman doing? Well, he's hanging upside down by one foot, not a very comfortable position. But what is it about? This card represents being able to looking at things from a different perspective. Looking at things from a different perspective. When you can't necessarily, when you accept the fact that you're not in control of everything going on in your life, and you feel like you can't make progress, and what's interesting is this card, the figure in Italy, long before internet trolling or anything else, the way they would humiliate someone in Italy who might be, I don't know, a thief or a dissident or just the way they would humiliate someone is they would put the face of the person on the image of a man hanging upside down like that. And that would be a form of public censure, a form of public humiliation. And that's where the actual image came from, a side note. So the thing that says is that the hangman, he doesn't care about public opinion. He doesn't care. You see the halo around his head, the aura. He doesn't care about public opinion. He's able to see things from a different perspective. He lets go, the need to let go, and sometimes to make sacrifices. Sometimes to make sacrifices for the sake of achieving enlightenment and seeing things from a different perspective. What did Avram have to do? He had to let go of everything that he was familiar with. He had to step outside of his comfort zone. And what I was thinking about when my wife punched me in the arm, and I still have the bruise to prove it, she punches hard. She used to be, she retired, or she was a postpartum nurse at Cedar Sinai, and she retired 16 years ago, but lifting those babies all day, wow. I mean, my lady's got biceps, okay? Anyway, the point that I was making is that he had to let go, just like the hangman is about letting go. He had to let go of everything so that he could see things from a different perspective. And, in the morning, I told Sharon, what were you mumbling about? And I said, I was thinking about something. When I do a tarot reading, and she's heard me do many, many of them at my house, at different venues, people would actually ask me to come to their bar mitzvah, bat mitzvah, simcha, whatever. Not so much in the Orthodox, but in the conservative reform parties and everything, I'd go. And it's really interesting because I go with a number of baggage. Well, this guy's an Orthodox rabbi doing tarot readings. Okay, yeah. Well, he's coming with a whole set of preconceived notions. I mean, there are people that would come to me, maybe, I don't know, their sexual orientation is non-binary, okay? Or their political views might not be in alignment with my own political views, okay? Or their theologically, they may not believe in God. They may be atheist, agnostic, pantheistic, polytheistic, all the different theistic. So how is this man going to, how is this rabbi, this Orthodox rabbi, the word Orthodox conjures up images of a judgmental, self-righteous. There's all sorts of things that non-religious people associate with the word Orthodox, and very few of them are complimentary. So I would posit this. When I'm doing a tarot reading, I'm not Rabbi McLash. No. I have to step outside of myself, release everything, and see things from a different perspective. see things from the perspective of the person that I'm forming a spiritual bond, a spiritual kesher with. And for me, it's not about foretelling or predicting the future. I don't claim psychic powers. I don't, what I do is I use the archetypal images to try to suss out a cohesive narrative from the cards. That together with the querent, we can create a narrative that gives them insight as to how to go forward. Lech Lecha, how to go forward,
So
right?
let's
The name
talk.
of the
Let's
part.
bring it back. Let's bring it back to Lech Lecha. Let's
Right.
bring it back to let's bring it back to Lech Lecha, which
Lech
is which is the parsha. And so I kind of want to get to the events that occur during the parsha, right?
Okay.
We talk about, God's call, and Abraham's journey, right? And you alluded to the fact that there's this famine in Canaan. So he goes to Canaan, right, which is supposed to be the promised land, and immediately there's a famine. And I think that that's kind of lousy myself personally, because I would have trouble trusting in a God who immediately led me to a place of famine and not a place of prosperity. So I would have trust. Then all of a sudden, as you said, Pharaoh comes, and Avraham Avinu is forced to pretend that his wife is his sister because he doesn't want to get killed. And so the Pharaoh is with his wife, and then it comes out, right, that in fact it actually is his wife, and Pharaoh is pretty upset, but he doesn't kill Abraham. He says, "Pick up your stuff and get out." Right? Isn't that what happens? He says, "Get out," and
Exactly.
and then he's busy farming, and his people, his shepherds and stuff, don't get along with his brother's shepherds, Lot, and they each decide to go their own way, right?
Mhm.
And they, because they're quarreling, and in that, Lot gets caught up in these like a warring. There's like four kings or five kings that are in war, and he gets like captured, and Avraham puts together like a rescue party, right? Like a Haganah, essentially, a rescue party, an IDF or whatever, and goes in and snags the hostages. So just like what we were talking about earlier, right? And grabs them. And there's some very interesting mystical writings about that part, which I kind of want to talk about in the Zohar. By the way, I don't know if you knew this, but there's a few things. One is that the 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 attack happens, and then after the attack they rescue everybody, and then they meet with Melech Tzaddik, right? Melech Tzaddik is in there, and that's the first appearance of Melech Tzaddik. He comes back in various other stories, right? He is the high kingly priest, which I don't quite understand how there's a high kingly priest before there is even Abraham Avinu. Can you explain that, Rabbi?
Well, Melchizedek and it's there. This would be a share unto itself, and it would digress too much and too far. But Melchizedek is called, yeah, he's called a Melech, and it seems in some way he's related. I mean, obviously the Kahuna did not exist. The Kohanim did not
Right?
exist.
It's a portmanteau
It's a
of
portmanteau,
it's a portmanteau of king
right?
and tzedek,
Right.
right? So he's king of the tzaddik,
Tzedek actually is justice. Tzaddik is a righteous
righteous.
person.
Yes,
Malki
right?
Tzedek. So it could be interpreted really as the just king or the king of justice.
Yeah. Sometimes people think of it as Shem, the son of Noah. That's in
Right.
Midrash Bereshit Rabbah. So, yeah, he's in a lot of traditions. He pops up in the Ascended Masters tradition,
Yeah.
and he pops up in the New Age tradition, and he pops up in a Christian tradition, and I think he pops up in the Church of the Latter-day Saints traditions. He pops up all over the place. This
Yeah.
one particular character. Oh, and I know what I was going to say about the there is there is a book called Sefer HaYashar, right?
Yeah.
Yashar,
Yashar is the straight way. The straight. Yashar means straight.
right, the straight way. It's not the book of Joshua as
Sure.
we know it, but this is a 14th century medieval text, I believe, that finally made its way into print in 1665, the straight way. And in that book, it describes how Abraham rescued everybody with Lot. What he did was he was able to grab and throw dust, and he grabbed and he threw dust at the people who were holding Lot and everybody, and the dust became swords and the stones became arrows, symbolic of spiritual transformation of these divine powers. So Avraham Avinu, according to this book, right, Sefer Yashar, that's how he did it. It was with magic. Essentially, he threw dust and it became swords and arrows. Very cool, right? That's cool.
What's really interesting is when Melchizedek is mentioned is that Avram is going out to rescue his nephew, right? And he defeats the Arba Malachim, the four kings. He defeats the four kings, and then he's blessed. Melchizedek is the king of what would become Jerusalem, and he's blessed by Melchizedek. So what I find really interesting about this is you have the world's, think about this, the world's first Jew, Abraham Avinu, is recognized as the world's, basically within Orthodox Judaism, as the world's first Jew, right? Because he gives himself Brit Milah. He circumcises himself. Right.
And that gives him the hay in his name, right?
And exactly. The hay in his name, where he transitions from being Abram to Abram. And we find that a lot of places. Yaakov becomes Israel. A change in name, again, goes back to the hangman. The idea of seeing things from a different perspective. That being able to release the old and see things from a new perspective or a different perspective.
Right. It's a change in the ineffable name, exactly what we were talking about in the
the Shem HaMeforash, right, exactly, the Shem HaMeforash. Now, the thing of this is that, like I said, that's why I was contemplating the whole thing, because in order to go forth, you have to first be able to see things, like I said, from a different perspective. The hangman's going to continue hanging until he's able to look at things from a different perspective. And only then can he go forth. Lech Lecha. Only after he's able to release his preconceived notions, his preconceived biases, his preconceived, baggage, is he able to go forth. And I found what's most interesting about this is you have the world's first Jew receiving a bracha, receiving a blessing from Melchizedek, who's considered a priestly king.
I know, that's what it's like.
He's not Jewish.
It's like I know, that's what I'm saying.
Melchizedek's not Jewish. But Avram has to receive his blessing.
Where is he coming from? This is what I mean.
I'm telling you, this all goes back to the meditation I was doing on tarot and the hangman, is that Avram had to receive, he had to, in other words, be able to see things from a different perspective. That here's a great man who's not Jewish, who's giving me the blessing that I need to Lech Lecha, to go forth from being Avram to becoming Avraham. That all goes back to what I was doing in the meditation. I tell you one thing. If you really, really study tarot, Kabbalistic tarot, you get insights in the Torah that they'll never teach you in rabbinical school.
That's for sure.
It'll also turn you into a heretic like it did me.
It also shows you that you don't need to get a blessing from a Jew for the blessing to be effective, right? It's not the person,
exactly
the blessing. It's God, working through the person or whatever.
Exactly my point. And he didn't get
Yes, Mark Gilmore is saying in the chat, look at the chat. Is it significant that Abraham is blessed by a pagan? Yeah, that's what we're saying. Like, this is a big deal. Like, and this guy pops up over and over throughout history in various different books, in various different texts.
Oh, Lolan, Melchizedek is like Merlin. He goes back and forth in time. I tell you, Lolan shares insights. We're in sync, Lolan and I, because I was thinking the same thing about Melchizedek. Is that he's kind of like he's kind of like a muse, or he's kind of like I forgot the term they use in Greek theater. Like he's almost a metaphor for, like, when they want to reveal something or some insight in Torah, something like that. Melchizedek
shows up. Oh, like yeah,
exactly. Like a
for some sort of foreshadowing technique of
exactly to show something. So Lolan, he might have been like Merlin, or actually.
Or Merlin might have been like him. Merlin being the only Jewish name, right? Like actually a Jewish name.
Yeah.
Merlin.
Well, a lot of people say I look like Dumbledore, which I consider a compliment. So I love being compared to Dumbledore, but my wife doesn't see it. She said, "No, you just look dumb."
But there's a couple of other things, right? So there's at the end of this thing, so there's Hagar and Ishmael, right? And at the end of this parsha, both the circumcision, the rite of circumcision, and the addition of the hay into their names and into their new ineffable names.
Right.
Yeah. That's really. Yeah.
Mark Gilmore pointed that out. It's significant that Abram is blessed by a pagan. Well,
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah. I think it's super fascinating.
Well, I like Mark Gilmore's other world mythic tropes. Yeah. So that's a thing. You have tropes that recur
in the Zohar, by the way. Not just in Sefer HaYashar does they talk about Avraham Avinu's use of dirt and make them transforming into swords and stuff like that. But in the Zohar, in book 1 of the Zohar, I think 85b and 86a, it talks about Abraham's or Avram's use of the divine name, okay, and angelic names as I don't want to say arrows, as forces to be hurled like spells almost during during that battle. Yeah, which is fascinating to me.
Of course.
Yeah. Yeah. Should always check out the Zohar. The Zohar has to say. Yeah. So there you go. Any other questions? It's a fascinating parsha. You know. No?
Well, as we say in Yeshiva, gay weiter. Go on, go forth.
We could go forth, exactly.
Can we say gay weiter in Yeshiva when it would be too long? Like there was a type of
here you go.
Study. Yeah.
Here's an interesting fact. Hagar's encounter with the angels. Okay. Well, it says, let's see if this is true. I guess it is true. The Egyptian maidservant encounters an angel in the wilderness, the first recorded angelic dialogue in Torah. The text lists 4 appearances, suggesting successive revelations. Mystically, Hagar's vision demonstrates that divine perception can occur even to those outside the covenant, foreshadowing the universality of prophetic access. I've talked about that a million times, right? That prophecy came to Pharaoh, right? And then they needed Joseph to interpret it. But
what about Balaam?
Came to. So here's
Balaam
another
had a level of prophecy equal to Avram, and he wasn't Jewish.
Exactly.
And Elijah HaNavi was a convert to Judaism.
So here we go with Hagar having it. But here's the interesting now, is this yes, so this has to precede the angel at the burning bush. So yeah, this is the first recorded conversation between an angel and human right here in this parsha.
And it was with Hagar. It was with somebody who wasn't Jewish. As I pointed out, Balaam wasn't even such a nice guy, really. He came to curse Israel, but he had a level of nevuah. They said like equal to Moses. Okay, and Obadiah, who was a great prophet in the Tanakh, in the English, I think it would be Obadiah, maybe Obadiah.
Yeah, Obadiah.
Anyway, Obadiah Hanavi was he was a convert. He wasn't born Jewish. So the whole idea is that God speaks to everyone. I don't care who, well, not French Canadians, but everyone else God speaks to. So,
So here it is. First person God speaks to, not God, but an angel speaks to is first angelic conversation. Fascinating. All right. Well, I mean, if nobody else has any questions, we can end early. It's not such a crime,
Because people better come up with more questions. I love the questions. I love seeing the incredibly incisive things. I mean, Faith McCann is on there. Haha, Rabbi cracks me up. Thank you, Faith. You're one of my favorite people. I love you.
All right. Then.
I can come up with another question for you. Situation where.
Wait, Faith. Go ahead, Faith. Faith, you get. Faith asked a question. Has a question. Go ahead.
Okay.
No. Go ahead, Faith. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Unmute yourself. Can you unmute here?
Hi.
Yeah.
I think we might have passed it, but I think it was last week we were talking about the section where Noah.
Noah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Noah was he ran a vineyard, and I read the part where he became drunk and passed out,
Right.
and one of his sons, Ham, found him and then went and told his brothers. And I guess it was inferred that maybe he was mocking his father or something, or maybe that he told the secret that he found him naked and drunk. So when Noah found out that he cursed not Ham, but Ham's son, Canaan, and went into great detail about how he's going to be a slave and he was going to be serving the rest of I was wondering why he would curse Ham's son,
Son.
and almost like his progeny, it sounded like, and not Ham himself. And then Noah died shortly thereafter, or they wrote about his death. So he never released the curse. And I was just wondering if we had discussed that and I missed it, or what was that
No,
all
no,
about?
that's a great. We didn't get a chance to discuss that. That's a
It's a
great
Thank
great
question.
you.
question. That's a wonderful question. That's a great question. And it opens up an entire can of worms because Noah had three sons, Shem, Ham, and Yafet. Yafet means beautiful. And Yafet, Yafet is related to the Hebrew word Yafet, meaning beautiful. And they say the Europeans are descended from Yafet. Shem, the word Semite, Shem, is from the word, Shem, that the Jewish people came from Shem, and that would include all Semites. All right, came from Shem, and Ham. It's interesting. Nimrod, who was a high king,
Oh,
right? He was descended from Ham, and that has been used by bigots in the most execrable and personally, in one of the most execrable ways to justify that the people of Africa were somehow descended from Ham because Nimrod was black. And that's not at all, I think, that's not even close to what the story is about. The story is about one specific person that they said, you know what, boy, come on, you couldn't have done worse than to humiliate your father by uncovering his nakedness, is the term it uses in the Torah. There are rabbinical commentaries on this that get a little more graphic and explicit than I'd like to go into. So I'm going to skip over it. I know it, but I don't feel comfortable sharing it because it's really some pretty gnarly stuff in there. Anyway.
It sounds like he humiliated his father.
Well, they take it into a little bit more than that.
But I mean, we're talking about respecting your parents.
Yeah, no, okay. they take it into I won't take it where they take it, but anyway, I'm not going to be on this. But the point is that what he was doing is he was giving a klala, a curse, to Ham, the direct descendants of Ham, and it says in the Torah up to 10 generations, which always passes. Which I always remember that 10 generations, Eser Dorot, is a big thing in Torah. So I'm saying, even if you want to translate it in this absolutely abominable racist way that a lot of people translate it, it doesn't hold water because it would only be for 10 generations if you really want to say that. I said, and there are, sorry to say, but I mean, you can't use it to justify racism because there are tribes of Jews living in Africa, Ethiopian Jews, the Falashes, and you have, Jews who are the Jews of Kaifeng, they're Asian. You have Jews in Africa. So I'm saying to myself, you cannot use the Torah to justify racism. Anyone who attempts to do so, I'm saying, is not, it is completely.
But I think Faith's question was more, why didn't he curse the
transgressor? Yeah.
The transgressor instead of
Exactly. Why did he have to take it to the kids?
yeah? Why did he do that? What's
You
the
know, uh,
I guess I'm asking also, did Ham receive no punishment? It doesn't, I
that's
can't
another
find,
interesting question. Did
yeah,
Hum receive any punishment? Did he get any any punishment for what he did? Well, I mean, look, having your progeny cursed as a punishment, I'd say, that's a punishment in and of itself. That Hum had his progeny cursed, a kalala placed on his progeny because of because of what he did. So that in itself was a curse.
that's an
But that's a good
interesting.
question, Faith McCann. I love that question. I'm going to investigate that more fully to get an idea of
thank you.
because
I
that is
appreciate it. Thank you.
that is
Yeah, it is a great question. It is a great question. Like why why indirect? Yeah.
well, that's what Emily Cindy Wood pointed out. I've been told that Hum's descendants became the black people. And that's
Right.
Emily Cindy Wood brings that up because it's extremely something that I rant and rail against, and even with some co-religionists who will interpret it that way, and I'm saying you can't interpret it that way. You can't interpret it that way at all. I says because you have Jews who are from Africa, and the sons of Ham, what they were doing is the curse was just on this man, and that what he would do is raise his children. The idea is he's going to raise his children with the same moral insensitivity, and because he's going to raise them with that moral insensitivity, I think. That he could be so insensitive as to uncover the nakedness of them, to humiliate our Father in such a way that he's going to raise his kids with that insensitivity, and that moral insensitivity is going to be passed on to all the door. It is not. It is not, and I hold that it's disgusting. It's abominable to try to use it as a justification of racism. That's not all. That's not the moral of the story. The moral of the story is that people who are morally or ethically or spiritually insensitive are very likely to raise children who are morally, spiritually, or ethically insensitive. And that can refer to any race, any religion, any group of people. We're all capable of being bastards. And it shouldn't be used as a pretext for finger pointing at any one specific ethnic group, race, religion, creed, or anything else. Does that make sense to you, Doctor, what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, there's good people. Look, I always say it. I say it, all the time. There are good doctors and there are bad doctors.
So it wasn't categorizing a race of people; it was
I know,
categorizing one
but I mean, you
person.
can do it with anything. There are good lawyers and there are bad lawyers. There are
It wasn't
Asians.
categorizing
There
a
are
race.
bad Asians. There are good Jamaicans. There are bad. I mean, you can say do whatever. You can go with any. Right?
And like I said, I mean, you meet. I've had the honor of working with Ethiopian Jews. They're the best. I've had the honor of working with Ethiopian non-Jews. Yesterday, I had to take a cab. My Sharon didn't feel like driving, so I took a cab out to the Grove. So happened that my cab driver was from Ethiopia, one of the most intellectual, enlightening, and uplifting conversations I've had in a long time. So the whole idea of Ham's descendants became the black people is not. That doesn't mean that the black people are under a curse, or that the curse of servitude somehow justifies the abomination that was slavery. That's not what it means, and it pains me when I hear people interpret it in that way, because I'm saying no. The curse was against people who are morally, spiritually, and ethically insensitive. The curse was against not a race, but a way of thinking.
People who exhibited a certain type of behavior.
That's what the curse was against. People who exhibit a certain type of behavior are likely to raise children who are like the case of the Ben Sora Omora that we discussed, the rebellious son. If a Jewish warrior takes a woman in time of war and just takes her, treats her like property, this is going to be my wife, or this and that, and she doesn't want to convert, but he kind of like coerces her, then you're gonna have, okay, fine, but you're gonna have a child that's also going to be spiritually, morally, and ethically insensitive. It's a repeating theme in the Torah. So it's not talking about a race of people. It's talking about a way of acting. And that should not be used, and it is used again and again and again. Oh, look, in the Torah itself, racism is somehow condoned, or it's somehow explained or justified. And I'm saying no, that's not what it's talking about. It's not talking about races here. It's talking about a way of thinking and acting.
Yeah. It is a freezing. Lowland's right. It is a freezing spell when you curse someone's behavior. Yeah.
When you curse someone's behavior.
Yeah.
I believe in actually, because I study everything. Ezahu Chacham, right? Who's the wise person? I believe they have something called a binding spell, or a spell of binding. They don't believe in actually cursing someone, like to cause them physical harm, but it's the idea of preventing that person from doing harm. And I'm no maven in that element outside of Jewish magic, but I think that is, if I'm not mistaken, maybe Faith McCann or Lowen can tell me if I'm correct on that.
In theory, yeah.
Yeah. The idea is,
in theory, I agree.
Right. A spell of binding would be to prevent the person from harming others, but not to actually inflict harm on the person themselves. Okay.
Except what most people aren't aware of, doing magic is a type of physics. And when people do a binding spell on another person, theoretically, to prevent them from doing harm, that particular magician, for lack of a better word, is forever and ever bound themselves to that person.
Right.
So what you send out comes back to you. And so you got to be careful, because a lot of hateful people that you might want to bind from doing harm, do you really want to be bound to them forever and ever and ever?
Right. The threefold law, I believe they call it. That what you do to others the good comes back threefold, and the bad comes back ninefold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what I've heard anyway.
So yeah. So you're right.
Okay.
Well, this seems like a good spot to end, actually. This is a good place. We've covered a lot of ground. My gosh. Whoever thought Lech Lecha would end up with the discussion of the threefold law? Right?
Look,
so there you go.
I get, from my mother's family, I learned all my knowledge on Torah and Mishnah and Gemara. And from my dad's family, I learned a lot of things from a different perspective. The hangman, the different perspective again.
All right. So we'll see you tomorrow night. We have Ma'ariv services with Chazanit Tiferet. She's so fantastic. So I look forward to seeing you guys there. And yeah, I think it's time for us to have another movie night too. So we'll keep our eyes open for movie night. So yeah. All right. Good night.
I vote for Deborah Does Tel Aviv.
Okay. All right. Or crossing Delancey or.
We love you guys. Take care.
All right. Good night.